Hello, friends. Thank you for being here for episode 11. We decided on a more spooky kind of book, Horrorstor, by Grady Hendrix. It leaned more into comedy than scary, which was nice. The book even comes with fake maps and documents to help immerse you in this knockoff Ikea. I thought this was pretty fun. I always love a trip to Ikea, and you can never go wrong with some Swedish meatballs.
Hello, and welcome to the Mess Hall Hangout. This is our monthly book club as part of my community, and thank you for joining us here. As you can see from the lovely graphics that Annie has created for us, we read Horrorstor this month. Let me show you all of our beautiful faces, and we'll get started because we're a little bit late getting started, but that's okay. I just want to say right up front, it took a lot for me to read this book. I'm not a huge horror fan.
This
I put
was
it off to like the last minute.
light.
I know that. And
But still, you
appreciate
got the
that.
block in your brain where it was like, horror.
Yeah, I mean, it says on the cover,
Scary.
horror. But it was totally tame. It was not like,
That's a great point.
it was not that bad. It was like, and that's also probably another thing to talk about. But yeah, thank you for putting this book on the book list, Annie, and thanks y'all for reading it with me this month.
I think it was a good choice, especially for somebody like you. For somebody who doesn't seek out horror and scary things, because we all know that you also do not like scary games as well, which is fun to make you play them when you ask us to suggest scary games for you to play for like one night.
Yeah, I really need to finish some games, but yeah, thank you for that because it's content. It's content. Go ahead,
True.
Aaron. Sorry.
True.
I empathize because there are things that I'm predisposed to not like like there's not really a book genre that I don't like that you do, right? Like horror. There's not a give and take. So it's not like we can read horror this month because you don't, you wouldn't normally seek it out. But then we all like fantasy. We all like sci-fi. We all like these genres that we've read, And so I empathize with the horror when it comes to movies and games and stuff like it's probably the most divisive genre in any medium that it's in.
Yep.
You either really enjoy it or I don't do horror movies. Like I just saw this movie called Long Legs. Every time I've brought it up, like, hey, have you seen, like, people that I talk about movies with, hey, have you seen Long Legs? They're like, no, I don't watch scary movies. I don't do scary movies. It's like, they just don't do it. And so I sympathize or empathize with, it's tough.
It's like horror.
Yeah.
Horror is challenging.
It was a fun book though. Like once I got through it, I enjoyed it, and we'll get into more of that. So I would be willing to branch out and try horror again. Like, we'll see.
Not right away.
I guess my point is I very much appreciate you patronizing us, me in particular, with this baby's first horror book.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna do a brief. Let me just show you. Today's episode is episode 11, Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix, and I don't have the book in front of me, but you can see on the illustration or on the cover here. Perfect. It's essentially we're in a knockoff IKEA called Orsk. And this book, if you're going to read it, get the physical copy. Don't do an audiobook because, like, look at these detailed illustrations.
Oh yeah,
and
so good.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you show the back cover, so here's the front. Oh, there's the back, kind of, alluding to spookiness and stuff. So
Don't pay
pretty
attention to
cool.
this. This is a normal picture. This
These
is
are
on the
fine.
normal side.
Yeah, that is kind of freaky.
This one.
And then
This
there's
side's
like
even
hands
worse.
coming out of the furniture and stuff. So this
can
has
order.
to do. You can even make an Orsk order. How fun!
Have a question? Just Orsk.
Just Horrorstor. So this has to do a lot with like the supernatural spooky. So our art project tonight, as we discuss, it's called Kiki's Magic Emporium, and it's a little diorama. I don't anticipate finishing it, but
I love it.
enjoy
It
the
looks so
process.
cool. Yeah.
It is very cool. So with that, we'll get started. I'm going to try to do a brief summary. So I'm not going to read the entire thing. But the novel follows a group of people. Ginger, did you
Hey
listen
there,
to the
mister.
audio or both?
Physical book. I did the physical book at Aaron's insistence,
Okay.
and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Only because I'm like, are we calling him Basil or Basil?
Basil.
Basil.
Basil?
Hi, Bruce.
Okay.
Like the herb.
So, right. Yeah, I was like, I don't know which one I should say. Okay, so we follow a group of people, store manager Basil, and employees Amy and Ruth Ann, and then Matt and Trinity. But it starts out, Basil recruits Amy and Ruth Ann to stay overnight to investigate strange acts of vandalism. The book particularly focuses on Amy, who is unhappy because she views her work at Orsk as unfulfilling and it's a dead-end job. During a patrol
Hey
of the
there,
store,
mister.
Amy and Ruth Ann come across fellow employees Trinity and Matt, who have snuck into the store to record paranormal phenomena. And Carl, a homeless man who has been sleeping at the store without anyone knowing.
And Carl.
And Carl. Although the group decides against calling the police, Amy reveals that she already called them earlier over some minor strange occurrences earlier that night. Trinity convinces the others, minus Basil, as he has gone out to wait for the police. Trinity convinces them to hold a seance. During the seance, they make contact with Warden Worth, who possesses Carl, the homeless man, and informs everyone that he will take them to his beehive and cure them of their mental illnesses. Worth then slits Carl's throat. Basil returns and is horrified by the amount of blood, then observes that Carl's body is missing. The group decides to search for him, and in the process find a door leading to an old asylum that no longer exists. Everyone is abducted and subjected to various cruel treatments, except for Basil, who manages to find and rescue Amy. The two are separated after a group of Worth's inmates, of all of whom are ghosts. So the inmates, the ghosts, attack Basil and drag him off. Amy nearly succumbs to the temptation to continue with Worth's treatments, as his earlier treatment had nearly convinced her that her life is worthless. But she fights off the urge after seeing Trinity put through a similar torture treatment. Amy frees Trinity, but Trinity runs off in fear. So she loses Trinity, but then Amy does make it successfully out of the building. However, she returns upon realizing that she is the other's only hope of escape, and that running away would mean quitting, which would prove Warden Worth correct in his assessment of her failings. She goes back into the store. Amy discovers the land occupied by Orsk had previously been the site of a prison that was closed due to Worth's cruel treatments. Amy is unsuccessful in rescuing Ruth Ann, who's an older lady, the older lady, who I actually kind of liked.
Same.
Oh, we love
Ruth
Ruth
Ann.
Ann.
Yeah.
Ruth Ann's
Ruth Ann
my queen.
ultimately sacrifices herself, but frees Basil and helps. Uh, Amy frees Basil and helps keep him sane by talking to him about his sister, for whom he is a caregiver. Before they can find the others and escape, they're confronted by Worth, the warden, who tries to trick them into becoming part of his beehive. Amy overcomes him by convincing the penitents that they are free and Worth has no control over them. The ghosts overpower Worth and destroy him, but instead of moving on, the ghosts capture Basil and Amy in wardrobes. They stuff them in the wardrobe and try to drown them. They barely manage to escape the store before it completely floods with water. Outside, they're met by the emergency teams, who inform them that they are the only ones who made it out of the store. Orsk's corporate people offer them cushy corporate jobs in exchange for their silence, which Amy refuses out of disgust. Months pass, and during this time, a new store, Planet Baby, is built out of the remains of Orsk. Amy gets a job there. On the first day, meets up with Basil, who also works there. The two vow to rescue Matt and Trinity. A task Basil says will be difficult because the penitents are less organized now that Worth is gone. The book ends with an advertisement stating that Planet Baby will hold a 24-hour sale, allowing patrons to remain in the store overnight. Whoa. So, the goriest or like the scariest part of the book, I feel like, was the whole Carl getting possessed and then Carl slitting
Hey,
his
mister!
throat.
So, to be
I haven't
clear,
read it.
he didn't slit his throat exactly. He took a pair of handcuffs, poked himself in the throat, wrapped it around his trachea, and then ripped his own trachea out. That's fucking
Yeah.
insane.
It was a bit, yeah, it was like, I can't believe this is happening. I thought this book was supposed to be fun and lighthearted.
Nope.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
But I thought it was pretty fun.
Yep, for sure. Give me 1 second. Cat's locked in the office with me real quick.
I have a reading that will illustrate most of my overall thoughts of the book. This is on page 91 in the chapter Clearing. After the group has found a bunch of words and names and years scribbled on the bathroom walls. Basil is telling them to that he's going to go look for whoever did this. Obviously, someone did this. He wants to go find them. Everyone else just got through a big sweep of the store and some bad stuff happened, so they don't want to do that. So Basil's like, fine, you guys go back to the break room. I'll go. And he says, call my cell phone if you see anything suspicious, Basil said. And whatever happens, do not leave the break room. There are enough people running around in here. It's starting to feel like an episode of Scooby-Doo. We'll regroup when we find this guy. And that's how I felt about the book. Not in a bad way, but it felt like an episode of Scooby-Doo, or like the Halloween episode of like Friends or something. There's nothing offensive about it, but I will say I don't think that I will think about this book again. Because it's just kind of like there. It served its purpose. It was fine, but there wasn't enough to it to make me go like, I want to read it again. I want to tell other people to read it.
Yeah.
It. I think it's very
Hey there, mister.
generic at the end of the day. And I think for me, the highlight is you did a cute IKEA catalog thing. But yeah, I wrote some discussion questions about all that. But just since we're giving overall viewpoints of it, that really stuck out into my head when I was reading, when he was like, this feels like an episode of Scooby-Doo. And I was like, that's what it is. Yes, it feels like an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only way I would recommend this book is like for people like Gendred. Like, are you not a fan of horror? Like, this book is a good. This one's a good one for you. But like, I agree. I don't think I'd go out of my way to be like, oh, this book is revolutionary.
IKEA diehards, wine moms, and people who aren't. See, the thing that I can't say like I would recommend it to people like Gendred who don't like horror is that it very blatantly, and I think on purpose, steps out of that Scooby-Doo episode and is gruesome, like what we opened up with, and is like gnarly. And that's my major problem with the book, is that it didn't decide what it wanted to be. It was this light-hearted Scooby-Doo episode, so like dive into that and like really make that pay off, or be a intense psychological thriller with violence and, you know, be that uber adult and like type of book. And this feels like it's YA and then all of a sudden it's not, and then it's YA and then all of a sudden it's not. And I wish they kind of just would have chosen one and gone head first into that. Either way.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like it was almost, I don't know if this makes any sense. I feel like it was written to be more of a screenplay. Like it was like not, I feel like it's the wrong medium almost.
I can
Like,
see
you
it.
would prefer it to be a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shitty movie, I think, but yes, I think so.
I totally agree with that. And I was talking to Annie a week ago, about like, I had cast
Hi there,
these
mister.
people,
Oh,
the
Satan!
characters already in my head, because it was like that Scooby-Doo thing. It was like an episode of a TV show. Like I have Amy and Basil and Ruth Ann and Trinity and Matt all cast in my head. Like, I pictured them in my head. So I think it is maybe like, I'm okay with the idea of books trying to kind of step out of its comfort zone and compete with video games and movies to be more interactive in an experience like this. So I definitely give it an A for effort. I've never seen something like this where the concept is taken like that, and I think it's not quite there.
I
It's
think
not
the
quite
effort
executed.
that I'm seeing that I've really enjoyed is the amount of detail it goes into, of like, here's the fake ordering thing that you can fill out. Here are some fake ads. Here's all the imitation IKEA things.
User says, Squandy, do you think that was a choice they made to have the different voices?
Different voices? What do you mean? Like, of the characters?
I don't know. I didn't know what he
the
meant either.
Different
If we were listening
voices.
to the audiobook,
Oh, I didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
because
I don't
we
know, I
all
didn't
read,
listen.
we all had the physical copy.
Usually that would mean like different voices of the characters, like as far as like narrative voices, if that's what user means. Yeah, just clarification on that, maybe. I'm not sure
Yep.
quite what that means. I'm sure we
I
just missed it.
I definitely know between the Scooby Doo and the Gruesome, the different, like, I guess, yeah, narrative voices is the way he says.
So
Oh,
was
like-
what a choice
So
because
like
of the different
to
voices?
flip flop between like Scooby Doo mode and like Gruesome mode.
Oh,
I mean, no,
It feels very
It's-
messy. It doesn't feel consistent.
no, I wouldn't say that that is the case here.
I think it was like I think it was very Scooby Doo up into a point. And like later on, like the gruesome part just like kind of waffled between very gruesome and okay. Like
I think that's why Carl's thing shocked me so much, because I think up until that point, it was pretty tame. And then all of a sudden, Carl gets possessed and rips out his own trachea, and I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah. The whole like amorphous blob coming out of Trinity and into Carl, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on?
I have to say though, like that whole scene and the description, I feel like I almost physically gagged. So I'm like, okay, like that was good. I find like as an author, he is better at like that part than like actual human dialogue.
Okay.
Well, the dialogue feels like it's going back to that thing. It feels like it's a sitcom, or like there should like they talk like there's a laugh track. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Applause.
And it's like
now.
it's
like,
it's a very distinct type of dialogue where like this isn't how real people talk, but it comes off like it's how real, like it's like how somebody thinks real people talk. It like Aaron Sorkin movies. Aaron Sorkin, like Few Good Men, The Social Network, he gets a lot of credit for writing great dialogue. But the thing is that his dialogue is not realistic. There are no breaks. It's always fast, 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 fast. Like people don't listen to each other. They just talk, 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 and it's great. It's engaging, but it's not realistic. This is like that, except for it's like an episode. It's like the Halloween episode of I love Everybody Hates Raymond or Everybody Loves Raymond or whatever that show's called.
Didn't he do
It's
the
just kind
newsroom?
of weird. Yeah, he did the
Okay.
newsroom. Yeah. Great dialogue on film, but when you think about it, like that's not how people talk.
people
you
don't
know?
talk like that.
So, yeah, I totally agree. I'm not a huge fan of his prose. I think it's he has moments where it shines, and I liked it, and I wish I need to start making notes. But I'll just say for now that there were like brief glimpses of like, okay, I liked how that was written. I liked that was engaging, but 90% of it was kind of just like, it's not that it didn't flow, but you know how there's something special about like with Name of the Wind, like that his prose are so beautiful and it flows in an engaging descriptive way. This is like a script, which goes back to your TV thing. It's
Yeah.
like it's more of like they went over here and did this thing. You know what I mean? It's that's very,
100% agree.
reductionist, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. The scariest thing, and so we had a discussion about this when I first started reading it, about whether this was like on purpose or not. After reading it, it's not on purpose. There's no larger point to this. Look at this couch. Okay? Imagine me sitting on this couch. Where would my head be? Like right here? Sitting, legs right here. Does this look like a high-backed couch?
No.
This
Read the
this is a
description.
distinctly low-backed couch. But no, this is a memory foam cushion with high back that delivers the support your neck deserves. My neck ain't touching that shit. What are you talking about? Imagine me sitting on that.
That description sounds more like an office chair, not a couch. I don't
Totally.
understand.
It's just a weird. I just found that very funny.
But like, I definitely the later thing. What is it? Chapter 16. The fucking torture device one cracked me up. I was
Yeah.
like,
When
okay.
the book transitions from like all of this like normal stuff to like the torture devices that they
Yeah,
are
like this
placed in
thing.
to
Oh
correct
shit,
themselves.
there goes the channel.
Yeah.
Lex Lager just
Yeah, right,
rated with
guys.
25
Hold on,
odd
give me a minute.
ones.
Welcome in, Lex Lager.
Hey,
Welcome in,
partner.
everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming in. We had 25 viewers coming in with Lex. Thank you, everybody. We're doing our monthly book club. This month's book was Horrorstor, and we are going over it.
High back.
Hey, partner.
That's a high back.
That's yeah. See, the description fits that
Low
chair,
back.
and we're going over.
Low back.
We're picking apart the book pretty heavily. But welcome in, Lex. Welcome in, everybody. Folks, if you're here and you don't know Lex Lager, do me a favor. Click the heart at top of chat. Go drop him a follow. Lex is a wonderful content maker, fantastic professional. He's just one of my favorite guys on Twitch. When he streams, it's awesome. It's just like he's very interactive. He plays a lot of games with his community. Just a wonderful dude. But thank you for coming over, Lex. Thank you for bringing your community. Would just take a quick moment. Lex, tell me how your stream was. Tell me how your evening was. And if you don't have time for that, if you need to run, that's fine too. But I'm so glad to see you here.
Hey there,
Welcome in,
mister.
everybody. All right, sorry. Yeah, so the book, the diagrams are interesting, and some of them definitely don't match the descriptions of them, but I definitely, like, once it got into the torture devices, I enjoyed them much more.
Totally. I was like, I also kind of saw that coming. Like, okay, this is a little device, a narrative device, you know, and like, I hope they play with that as we get in. And of course, it was nice to see that they did, and I think it was implemented very well.
Yeah, leaning into the
Yeah.
stuff.
And
Which is where I'm like, that's where the creative part to me is like really prevalent in all of this like thought out stuff versus maybe the actual writing. But that's fine. Like,
We may have
We
a
can't-
discussion question about that.
can't all be good at everything.
I
Except for
enjoyed.
if you're an author,
Ooh.
I think you should be good at the one thing.
The writing, the
Yeah.
dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, they transitioned like right into the prison section with the torture devices, so that was actually really well done.
Yep. Executed well.
I was more interested too when they started talking about what kind of prison it was, because I had only like actually just learned what a panopticon prison style was, and I thought that was really interesting.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know that if that was a real thing. Kinda
They
sounded made
utilized
up.
it in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
So one thing that bugged me about the book, I didn't get to this till the very end, but like at the very end of the book, there's like a puzzle-looking thing, and it doesn't match anything of like the panopticon layout that they talk about, and so that part
Yeah.
annoyed me.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
So that
why
was
is
a
why is there
weird-
a maze at the end when they
Yeah.
completely describe the prison several times?
Well, doesn't he have them go through a maze
He
as
does.
part of their?
Or in one of the scenes, in one of the Amy has to go through it.
Yeah, exactly. There
to
is a
find
maze.
Basil.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It just like it's such a weird transition in that point. Because
No,
like,
I'm with
and I
you.
think the other part of it is though, like the the part of the prison that was above ground was a panopticon. I think below ground, like he had 3 layers of just like shitstorm.
Torture.
I don't know.
Oh, I have heard of. It's called Panopticon.
Yeah.
I have heard of that. That's in the game Control.
The
Why didn't that
Panopticon
trigger in my head?
Night Pale
Prison
Rider, Night Lex.
style, which
That's
is
totally
like
in the game Control.
it's super. I don't know. I'm like,
It's
oh,
wild.
that's super cool.
Yeah, that is. Weird.
Just blow
I
your
thought
mind
it was
right now.
made up. Well, no, because I read the story and I thought he just made that up. And then when I played Control, I remember thinking that they made that up for Control. And now I'm like, okay, this is actually
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
yeah.
It wasn't a very popular thing, but like, you know,
If you know, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. So that was super cool.
I enjoyed the character arc of Basil. I definitely did not
Interesting.
like him in the beginning. By the
Oh, I
end, I was
hated him in the
I was a big
beginning.
fan.
It was.
I
He
would-
just reminded me of all of the corporate people that we've run into, where it's just like they really drink the Kool-Aid.
I was waiting for you to get to
Totally.
that because I know like you two have experience with some of that corporate retail stuff.
We got to get into the discussion questions.
All
'Cause
right,
we're
Okay.
just
get
gonna
into
spoil,
it.
We're gonna spoil them.
Let's do it. You do it.
Do you want me to run it? I would
Yeah.
love to. I would love
Let's-
to.
Somebody.
Now now that we've gone over the summary and our initial thoughts, I'm gonna turn it over to Aaron.
Thank you
with
for the
some,
follow,
Thank you for the follow,
Zazen39.
Zazen.
questions.
Thank you very much, Annie.
How's the
Coming
weather
to
over
you
there,
live.
Aaron?
Come to you live from Seattle, Washington. We're gonna get into some discussion cue
Oh,
prompts.
hey Lion
Alright,
Strong
so-
DK.
Thank you for the
Thanks for hitting that follow button.
For the viewers, if you have any questions about this book, just Orsk.
Just Orsk.
First question. Our characters don a company polo and slacks every day they come into work. Have you ever worked in a big box retail store, and what was your experience?
have
Gendrick,
not.
have you ever?
I have,
You
not
have
in a big
never
box-
watched
Not in a big box
retail at all?
No.
God
I've-
bless your soul.
I've
You're
worked.
gonna live 10 years longer.
No, because I worked at a call center, and I've worked at startups, which will literally try to kill you. Like, so I've shortened my
Gotcha.
lifespan in other ways. Not retail.
Gotcha.
I did work food service for through high school.
Okay.
I did
I mean, that
small
counts.
box retail. I worked at a GameStop for a couple years.
That totally counts. Yeah, okay. They have polos, right? GameStop polos.
They have like blue. Yeah, they have shirts, but generally like
got shirts.
they don't really care what you wear for the most part,
Lucky.
as long as it's like
Annie and
gaming
I-
related.
Right. Annie and I met at Best Buy, one of the biggest big box retailers in the United States.
What a time.
And it
It's
was
changed a lot. It's definitely changed a lot, but
probably for the worse.
I have to
I
assume
think I would
so.
rather go back to when I started than to if I was going to go back now. But it was terrible. And to our point earlier, Basil is like every manager at Best Buy who is just like, I bleed blue and yellow, Best Buy or die. And it's just like you just want to throw up in your mouth because you're like,
you're
I just want to
looking
get
around.
paid and go home, bro.
Yeah, and you're looking around at the other people like, is this guy for real?
Mhm.
And then you have your other coworkers who some of them also drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm just like, you can't be serious.
It's like a cult, and it's like some people get brainwashed, and you're like, oh no, they got him, they got
Yeah,
her too.
they got another
Another
one,
one.
but they're not gonna get me.
Yeah. So it was terrible. Big box stores suck, and I will say, I think Grady Hendrix painted a retail environment and its coworkers in a way where I was like, sure, yeah, totally.
I felt like he was describing IKEA very accurately.
Yeah, I think he spent a lot of time in IKEA before. I wouldn't be surprised.
He maybe
Probably worth
wrote this in
retail.
an IKEA.
Yes, walking around.
Maybe slept in an IKEA overnight.
He was Carl.
He was Carl.
He shit all over a couch.
Couch.
God, I hope not.
He's the
Okay.
serial pooper.
Grady Hendrix, the serial IKEA pooper.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so yes, Aaron and I have had a retail experience, and it was not enjoyable because, as you can tell, we don't drink the Kool-Aid. We ain't no fools. You know. It is.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
I'm a communist, just so you know.
Eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
The main driver of the narrative is the haunting of this Orsk location. Do you believe in ghosts? And would you have made it through the night?
No.
I do not believe in ghosts.
No. I don't believe
Why?
in ghosts.
I very strongly believed in ghosts as a child, teenager, young adult, and even to this day, I love watching ghost hunter shows in the fall. I want them to catch something, and I know they never will. And I don't believe in ghosts, but it's so fun. It's fun to believe, but not believe.
Yeah.
And
So you're like, what is it, Scully? Like, I want to believe,
yeah.
but you need the proof.
Yeah. And like I've been watching these shows. I'm 35. I've been watching them since I was like 12. And I ain't never seen shit. No one's ever found shit. And the more that
I'm still waiting.
the more that you look into it and you read it, like be spiritual, be whoever you want. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, like, for me, there's just not enough. Because it's all anecdotal. It's prove to me what's your best argument for the existence of ghosts that's not anecdotal.
Throw it
I'll
in
listen
chat.
to you. So nobody believes in ghosts here? Annie, you believe in ghosts?
I think I'm along the lines of like I want to believe, but I know if like something happened, I think I'd shit my pants.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 100%, you know?
I definitely don't believe in ghosts. Like I don't believe in the paranormal. Do I get scared at night in the dark? Yeah. But like it's just like this innate primal fear of the dark. It's like, and I know
The
that
unknown.
it's It's not like I believe there's an actual ghost in the house. Now, it doesn't mean like, you know, I would survive the night. I don't think so. I think I would have fucking died in Orsk, like shit myself underneath one of their couches and fucking been killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first paranormal thing that happens where the camera is showing a different layout than
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
would've
thought
fucking
that
loved
was
right
kinda
there.
Cool.
that was very cool. I mean, I've seen it before in other things, so it's not, you know, but I do like that concept. And at that instance, I would have been like, what
I'm
the
out.
fuck? This is crazy. I wouldn't have been out. I would have just been like, this is queer. It's when a person shows up, like Carl. When Carl is there,
Oh.
then I'm like, okay, I'm out. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be looked at. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Get away from me. I'm done. I want to look at weird liminal spaces, but I don't want anybody near me.
So Carl didn't bother me, but the moment Trinity was like, let's do a seance, he'd be like, fuck no. Like, I'm done.
Right.
Like, I'm done. Like, when the fucking lights turned off, I would have been running, screaming from the store at that point. Like, knowing that it's automated, I don't care. I'm not going to be in that store after dark.
Yeah. Yep. What was I gonna say?
I want to believe. So
Yeah.
bad. Like, in another life, I'm like, oh, I think it would be cool to be a medium.
Nope.
Nope.
No. I want to believe in aliens.
I don't know, man.
I want to believe in like it, because I feel like the universe is
you're
too
more-
vast like
You're
for
more
there
of
not
the
to be
three-body
aliens.
problem than Horrorstor.
I don't really want them to come invade us and kill us. Like that's a different thing. But I just don't think there's enough evidence that paranormal things are real. Now, have I seen too many horror movies in my life? And like, am I afraid to drive down dark, roads at night? Yeah, I'm not a fan. Jeepers Creepers is like left a lasting impression in my brain, and I don't enjoy it.
So, I said like, give me a reason to believe that's not anecdotal. That is the basis of my fear, because I am scared in the dark or whatever, and I think, okay, I don't believe in ghosts, but if I saw one, no one would believe me.
Right.
And I would be crazy because it's anecdotal. No one would believe me. I wouldn't believe me. And that's my worst fear, is that I'm going to like open my eyes and see a demon or a ghost or something and be like, well, how am I going to explain this now? Like,
I can't. Nobody's gonna take me seriously. They're gonna send me to
And
the
I'll
nut
just-
house.
I'll have to be scared of the dark for the rest of my life.
See. Okay, we got some chat movement. Live in a house that was a part of a monastery and have had windows fully clasped violently on top of themselves. And a heavy old petroleum chandelier started swinging from side to side by itself and stopped when I said stop. Lived in. Wow, Lion. That's wild. That's fucking wild. Okay.
Anecdotal. That's very exciting. It's very cool. That's anecdotal, and it unfortunately all that stuff can be easily explained away. But it's very exciting. Like I totally. So here's the thing.
Aaron
When I was
doesn't believe you.
when I was a kid, like I said, I wouldn't believe me if that happened. But here's the thing. When I was a kid, my grandma used to do tarot cards and seances and stuff, okay? And one night I was sleeping with in my cousin's room, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and this orange orb swung past me and went into this other room with like these big open, like these double doors, where I was going to go to the bathroom. And it was just like a little yellow, like an orange ball. And I walked and I went to the other room, and I saw it go, and it went around the corner, and it was gone. And in the morning, I went to the bathroom and I came back, and my cousin Mason was like up, and I was like, I just saw this thing, and he was like, oh yeah, that's my grandma. That's my great grandma or something. And like he knew what it was. And so I was, so that was my story for a long time. And my grandma did seances, and like this one time we were all around this table, and she started doing this thing and asking stuff, and then the table shook and it shot into the corner, and it like pinned my uncle Marcus, and it like scarred him. He doesn't like to talk about that stuff anymore. And those things happened. I don't know what they are, but like those were like, yeah, I definitely believe in something, right? But like, here's the thing. Ghosts, like see-through entities or whatever, is like totally made up by people. Like, you can look up the origins of why we think ghosts are like see-through real life entities. Spirituality, maybe, but like, who comes back to close windows and shake chandeliers? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Somebody who's really angry.
They have a lot of opinions.
Well,
It's-
and
Me?
that's-
I have
I
an
don't-
experience. Well, I don't know. We were on vacation in Scotland, and there's ghost tours, which my mom was like, "Oh yeah, that's fun. Let's take our teens to go do this ghost tour." And then we went through like the the underground caves and catacombs underneath Scotland, and saw a wallet made out of human skin. Pretty cool. And then they took us to this room where immigrants were burned alive and stuff. I don't remember the year, but it was like, old. And then I swear, it was so dark in there. And I swear this can be explained, I'm sure, is what Aaron is gonna say, but I felt something like brush past my leg and stuff, and like could have been the wind or I don't know, a fucking rat. But I was terrified, and at that age, it's like, wow, that could have been a ghost passing through me.
Totally young, impressionable. Same thing for me. I was young. I was a kid. The fact of the matter is, Occam's razor. 900 things are more reasonable than the entity or spirit of a person came by and brushed your leg. Like, there's so many other more reasonable, sensible things. Until somebody shows me, until somebody has evidence that's not their personal story, I'm a full believer. And don't get me wrong, it's exciting. It's very exciting to be like, I lived in a haunted house. This crazy thing happened to me. This is what I don't know. I'm gonna get too into it. That's where I'm gonna stop.
I'm gonna go back to the questions.
Yeah. So none of us would have made it through the night, and we don't believe in ghosts.
Right.
Except for
I
Ian.
100% think I would have died.
Yeah.
All right. The layout of the book is very unique, as it was designed to resemble an IKEA catalog, as we talked about. Has advertisements and chapters sharing the name with pieces of Swedish furniture. What was your experience reading the book this way? Did it add to the immersion, or did it take away from anything? Plus minuses of the design of the book. We've kind of covered this a little bit, but any final thoughts on that?
I love it. Give me more.
I love the spirit of the design of the book. I didn't really embrace it while reading it. Like I went back after I read it and looked at things. For me, reading is very much I get into it and I skip pictures and stuff unless they're really integral to what I'm reading. Like for the most part, I didn't notice any of them. I just kept flipping and reading and kept flipping and reading because that's how I read. But after the fact, looking through it and I definitely would have picked this book up at a bookstore because of the cover and because of what was the way it looked more than the content, at least initially.
I judge books by their cover, so that's 100%. I think that's actually why it was on my shelf. Because I had this one for a little bit. I just hadn't actually read it.
Really?
Yeah, but I definitely think when I first got it, I was like, this looks so cool. What a concept. Must buy this book.
Yeah.
So,
Idea, cute as hell. Idea, executed fairly well. Does it fully serve the narrative? Sure. But is the narrative good enough I'm going to say the story is not good enough, is not as good as the design is.
yes.
It's a lot of thought put into it. It's cute. It's got some silly stuff like the high back chair, which is I'm just memeing. But overall, cute 100%. But that is the best thing about it.
It's kitschiness. That's the best thing.
You're there for the gimmick, and it's good. It's cute, and it's so short. It's what are you really losing? That's why I'm not mad.
Oh yeah.
It's fine. But what did I lose? A couple nights.
243 pages. I read this over the course of 2 days because I didn't read much yesterday, but the day before and today.
It's just like a little baby book.
I just churned right through it. It was good. I'm not mad at it. It's definitely not my favorite book ever, but I definitely I appreciate the baby steps into horror.
All right. How did the setting and atmosphere of the book affect the mood and tone of the story? Did it create a sense of danger, mystery, dread, or unease?
I don't want to say I was uncomfortable. Like the book didn't make me feel. Or no, sorry. I'm gonna start over. My strongest feelings came out during the seance. Because of the description and a lot of the the bubble of snot coming out of Trinity and completely encasing like Carl and her, or like her and like ugh, like it was just so disgusting. When Carl ripped out his throat, but I think that was the point of the book that I was like, I physically was like, ew, this is like so gross, and maybe like made a face. But other than that, I feel like it was pretty tame.
Oh man, the description of Ruth Ann and like her in the wall
Her
and
knuckles,
yeah, and like that one, I was like, what the hell? And
I totally forgot about that.
and the description of like Amy in the chair, like getting like put in the chair and then like getting released from it, and like her body like mostly being asleep from just being wound up so tight. Like I definitely, there were parts of this where I was like, like I was just, I could mentally put myself in some of these places, like being trapped in a like sort of portable closet thing. I was like, what the fuck? Like, yeah,
Like
this
being
book
so
definitely got under my skin in a couple
claustrophobic.
places. Yeah. And like being, the water coming in, and I was like, oh shit, she better get the fuck out of this thing.
So,
I thought when she was trapped and trying to find the key, I kind of thought that was almost like his description of that was pretty good too, because I was like kind of doing the motions as she was doing the motions, and I'm like, oh, like it makes sense.
Yep.
So I thought that was neat too.
So couple things from chat. Lionstrong said if you ever go to Denmark, he would love to show you the monastery that he described, because he still knows the owner in person.
Hey there!
He might even be able to arrange a sleepover in the old monk's infirmary.
Oh,
I was
no,
like,
thank you.
No, thanks. I would love to see a ghost tour during the day. No, thanks. He said he slept down there before. It's an experience. Zazin said, if you guys want to see something scary, you should have tried my late grandma's cooking. Now that's scary.
nice.
Lionstrong asks, what are you building? What's it for? He loves the miniature building.
It's getting done very poorly because I keep getting my hands covered in super glue. So that'll be fun because I don't know how to get that off. But it's Kiki's Emporium, and it's from Row Life.
It's a little
always say
diorama.
relief. Yeah, it's a little diorama.
You gonna put that on your bookshelf?
I mean, if I finish it, yes. It's already looking like shit, but it's fine because like that adds to like the weathery mystery emporium that this is from.
Cap says lemon juice to get rid of the super glue on your fingers.
Lemon juice? Okay. Lemon juice. I have. Thank you.
Hi, Cap.
'cause
Thank you for the hydrate. I'll drink another one just to
This
say
is
thank
very
you.
uncomfortable.
So I just wanted to hone back into that question. Because we were talking a lot about like what creeped us out.
Yep.
But the question is more about how did the setting of an IKEA or the atmosphere of the book affect those moods?
It was set up really well, I think, in the description of like Ruth Ann getting lost in the IKEA. Like when she said she went on the floor one time and got totally lost, and then we experienced that via Amy and Matt using the camera and like going in circles. Like I definitely feel like an IKEA is a place where I would be very afraid to get lost. Like that the setting there lends well to that setup.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I wanted to go back to that, because I feel like the setting of an IKEA store at night is
Absolutely
good
terrifying.
yeah, that's a good idea. Granted, like that premise on the whole to me is corny, but
Mhm.
it fits this type of book perfect. Like staying
Yeah.
overnight in an IKEA is like, oh, like the Scooby Doo episode, the sitcom thing is like, it's a cute idea. Um, and I thought it like they used this. He used the space well, and it wasn't just a place that this happened. It actually had a purpose, which is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we kind of Annie kind of answered this, but how did the writing initially draw you in? Like, what part really got you for the first time? And I think Annie was saying like she really locked in at the seance, which I would have to agree with, because I think that's where it like we're kind of ramping up for a long time, and like some creepy things happen and then it settles, and then at the seance things start to like you know. So I think
That's like
that's
when the mic drops, is the seance.
I think that's when things kick in. But did you have another moment, Gendred, where like you really kind of locked in, or did that ever happen?
Yeah, the writing on the wall in the bathroom, like
Like the first time?
the second time. So she saw it the first time and she was like,
Yeah.
"What is that?" And then she went back and it was like more, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that part hooked me. I would say that's the first part that got me.
Nice. That is really cool. And I like how the writing changes to it being hand scratched. You know, it's not just written out in text, and then when it's all covered, you know, we get that page that shows all the drawing, you know, all the writing and scribbling stuff. So kind of cool the way that they chose to display that part of it, the writing and stuff added.
Yeah, the bathroom stuff creeped me out too. Where yeah, like all of a sudden more like carvings appear. And she had been going to the bathroom a lot because she just does not like basil.
I think the term beehive too is interesting because it there's no way that you could guess what that means. It's
Right.
very like how the hell is that word gonna come back? What does that mean? And then it actually is a decent answer, you know. So intriguing for sure.
Yeah, if it has like been like cell block or something, it would have been a big clue in right there, but it didn't. It was like sort of like, what, 4 years, like 5 years? Like I don't think this like
Yeah, what does that mean?
yeah, forever. What the fuck? Like it just was very confusing. I was like, is there a cult in Orsk? What's going on here?
Yeah. Did Hendrix surprise or shock you with any twists or turns in the plot? And did you see them coming, or did you get caught off guard by stuff?
Yes. I will elaborate. I definitely didn't expect Amy to sink into the warden's sort of like mental trap of, you know, oh yeah, I'm meant to be here locked in this chair. I was like, what? Like,
She was on the line of giving up.
yeah, and I didn't. That definitely was a surprise because I expected like somebody strap me to a fucking chair. I would be not just giving up and accepting my fate. Fuck that. Like, you know, like I would be screaming my head off. So that was definitely a weird twist. And then to see the same thing happen to Trinity, and I was like, what is like? There's some weird like mojo going on here. We didn't see that happen with Basil. he was very much like just in pain, right? And we never saw what happened to Matt.
Yeah. Like, we don't know what Matt's torture device was.
And Ruth Ann
Or is.
escaped until she didn't anymore. So we don't know what her torture device was besides her own fear. So I would definitely say the weird mental effect of the warden on the characters was very, very much a hook I didn't quite expect.
That's a good one. I wouldn't say. I mean, the shocking things shocked me, like the throat and the water. You know, the flooding and the.
What about the description of like the wave of rats?
Oh God. I
And Basil's like, you need to swim faster. Don't turn around.
and I
and
did
then
what
she
anybody
turns
would
around.
do. Turned around, yeah.
Yeah. And there's just, oh.
I think
I like that they gave Basil a humanity. Granted, it's very small, but it's a little bit, you know, that he takes care of his little brother.
His sister. He's
yeah.
her, her caregiver. And then, yeah, that was our glimpse of like why Basil is so into the Kool-Aid, because he needs to have this corporate job to help bring in the money to take care
And
of
he
his sister.
loves that company for getting him out of a very tight situation from where they came from. So it's like, oh, that actually makes sense.
At first, when I like his whole attitude and everything, I'm just like, oh God, he's one of those. And then you learn why, and then it's like, okay, I'll cut you some slack.
There's some humanity to Basil. I think it's very redeeming.
I also like how they're Basil and Amy. Like, Amy absolutely detests him, and then in the end, they're not best friends, but
Well, okay, so I loved how he saved her initially, right? And then she saved him. So they were like, they were looking out for each other, even though she hates him. She's like still going to rescue him. And that was like
she had
actually
to rescue
drags
him
him out of the store.
twice,
What?
I think. She had to rest, like, he got her out, then he like used himself as a distraction, and then I thought she had to save him 2 times.
From the floating, they were both locked in the cabinets part.
Yeah, and then when she had to like go through the maze and he was chained up.
The whole like cabinets part, yeah, she did save him there. I didn't. Yeah, because he was like broken arm and fucking locked in a cabinet. So like that part was very, I don't know. Like I didn't really think about it as much at that point. I definitely saw the author trying to like show, okay, these two characters really don't get along, but they're actually, you know, they're humans trying to save each other in this terrible situation. And so like trying to like make you not hate Basil as much.
Yeah. Which I didn't. In the end, I didn't. But
I thought I'm going to save this for a later question. I missed a question, guys.
Oh, which
And a good one. So the fictitious Orsk, as we know from its inspiration of Ikea, is laid out in a long, winding, maze-like structure. Was this merely to replicate Ikea and advance the plot, or was it a metaphor for something else?
Why not both? Like, I feel like it's both. Obviously, it's a maze, right? And like it lends itself to that effect, especially, again, going back to Ruth Ann got lost on the floor at least once before and broke down crying, right? And previous to this story taking place, and then it happened again to Amy and Matt trying to navigate their way back, and the store kept like turning them around with like some sort of visual illusion, um, and then turn that around. There's the whole maze in the prison, right? So like, I feel like it all ties together. I don't think it was like merely to replicate IKEA. Like I think it was definitely more for the plot.
I think that I think it's slightly obvious that the maze-like structure of IKEA relates to the maze that they go through in the Panopticon beehive or whatever, but also is this larger, more on-the-nose metaphor for a prison being that of your job, and especially big box retail can feel very much like I'm stuck here and I don't know how to get, there's a lot of people at Best Buy that we worked with that
Only just got out how many years ago? Wes was
they
the last one,
portray
right?
yeah, exactly, they portray that stuck prison like feeling. So it kind of, maze leads to the prison, leads to this allegory of prison being, I think that was the point of having the prison be in this retail store, was for that allegory.
Okay.
I also think like the idea, it's a small thing, but it's like the idea of uniforms. Like you wear the uniforms in prison, we have
Yep.
to wear our blue polos and khaki pants until they decided, oh yeah, you could wear black pants.
Right, because you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna set a I'm gonna set a horror story in IKEA. What's the story? And then you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Like, this feels like a prison. We wear uniforms, all that stuff you just said, and so yeah, it relates to the underlying story of the story. But there's that larger,
It
meaning,
did.
which I thought
And
was good.
for a time, I think we did feel trapped and felt like we couldn't leave,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is why it took some of us so long to leave.
Yeah. We talked about the crew. Who was your favorite character on the crew?
Ruth Ann.
Ruth Ann girl.
Ruth Ann's my girl. I like how we also got a little glimpse of her getting unhinged and annoyed.
I don't know that was like her getting unhinged necessarily, but I like, okay, so my favorite character is like, I love character arc of Basil. I think like I didn't like him at all in the beginning, but at the end I really liked him. I loved Ruth Ann. She was great. I think her, when shit hits the fan, like she stepped up, like, and that was that was huge. Because I totally expected her to just be a blathering mess, like just based on her earlier interactions, right? So her when the going gets tough, you fucking, what did she say, like buck up? She like fucking gave this like
Buck
almost
up or shut up.
this
kind
sort
of
of like
thing.
impassioned speech to Amy, almost off the hip. I was like, oh shit, you're not fucking.
Yeah. She's like, Amy, you need to grow up and
Yeah, it's like
It's-
you're a long ways past 13 or some shit. I was like, god damn.
yeah. Pretty much like, I don't know, in a good way, calling Amy out for a lot of things, because like Amy was struggling, but it's like I don't know, Amy did just need to grow up because she had a lot of like first world problem kind of things happening, and Ruth Ann was not here for it, because she's like, I've worked so hard for this job and it's given me so many good things. Like, she's like, I renovated my kitchen, I have my dream kitchen now. And you are you're taking this for granted, when some of us, like, this is our livelihood, and it's making things happen for Ruth Ann.
Yeah, there was a character for each level of big box retail cult.
Mm-hmm.
Like Amy, who's like, I don't want no part of this. I'm here for a paycheck and I'm out. The Matt and Trinity, who are like, we can come and go as we please. Like, we just don't take anything too seriously,
Yeah.
And then the diehards, the two versions of they drank the Kool-Aid, and one of them is like, I need to take care of my sibling. Gotta have a tough situation. The other one is like, I'm lonely. I'm all by myself, but this has given me purpose. This is my
Mm-hmm.
purpose, and it's nice to see humanity given to those people who you would normally see as like, ugh, what happened to you? Like, how could you care so much about this big
What do we
box?
call them? The lifers?
Yeah, and it's like, it's cool to not have just a generic lifer, to have a
Yeah.
meaning behind both of them and different meanings.
I can name some of the lifers at my store here, but I don't remember any lifers from Takula.
Oh man, I haven't been in there in forever.
Mm-hmm.
Ba, 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 ba. How do you feel like his portrayal of the villain Warden Worth was? Did you understand his motives? Did he have any redeeming qualities? I kind of feel like he was just evil
Yeah.
for evil. He wasn't a very complex villain.
No.
I feel
You
like
don't really get a viewpoint of him other than just evil.
Yeah, we don't know his actual motivations. He just sounds like a psychopath who was, in charge of a prison.
Right.
I would love to have like gotten a deeper glimpse into like what set him down that path, but there wasn't enough space in this book for that. It was a very short
Right.
book.
Just a chapter to be like, my parents didn't love me, so now I need to, something
Yeah,
like.
yeah. My parents weren't very, like my parents weren't very good at upbringing, but my uncle taught me or something, and like put me to work, and so I put people to work or some shit like that. I think there could have been something, but no, I don't think there was any redeeming qualities to him. He was just fucking crazy.
It very much disconnected me from that portion of the story. Of like, it would have been cool if there was something else besides the work is a prison allegory, but like, that's kind of what it was there for, of like, okay, he's making people run through these things over and over again. Oh, that's how I feel at work, like why? Why though? Other than that,
Why though?
what's
Yeah.
the in-book reason for this? And there doesn't really get an opportunity to dive into that, and it really disconnected me from that.
Yeah, I felt he was very flat.
I was just about to say he lacked depth
Yeah.
as the villain. But for this kind of read, it's like, okay, we just gotta go like basic. And that's fine.
2 more questions. What do you think the theme of the book was? Did he explore any themes to you, like loyalty, revenge, survival? Are some things that I kind of thought of, because there's a lot of things that Amy's going through. Each character kind of has their own. I mean, the main characters, Basil, Ruth Ann, and Amy, have their things that they're going through. But I don't know that there's like a strong singular theme or even multiple themes to the book, other than work sucks.
I know.
What do you think?
I feel like that and this sort of might be drawing a little bit too much of a conclusion. I feel like there's this whole it's not about the work, it's about the people, right? Like, you know, yes, you know, they're doing these shitty jobs, but like, I think Basil actually cared for his employees, despite like the whole, you know, trying to cover his ass and trying to cover for Orsk and all that shit. You know, the fact that he was willing to go look for Carl, he didn't understand Carl was fucking, you know, gone. He was like, no, we got to go save this guy. You know, he's here, trapped, bleeding. Like, there was humanity there, and like, I think, you know, we see he saves Amy. We see Amy saves him. We see Amy saves Trinity. You know, like it's there's a lot. I think they're trying, like, so many cases where I thought if this was a movie, you know, these people would just be like gone. They'd be dead, because you wouldn't see humans save each other in a movie. Like, that doesn't really happen that often. Usually they just watch each other die horribly and run to the next fucking murder scene. I think there was a little bit of humanity, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I have to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
No worries. I definitely think there's some. I think there's a humanitarian aspect to it, and I think Amy shows a huge character growth, at least in that area, right? Like,
I think hers is the most, you know. Basil is pretty, like, you get what you see with him, but I definitely think out of everything, like, Amy, in the end I wouldn't have expected her to be like, I'm gonna get a job at this new location specifically to find Trinity and Matt, who weren't even like
in Ruthann,
close friends,
right?
Well, yeah, but do we think she's dead?
She says she's gonna go find all three of them.
I would have thought, because do you think Ruthann is dead? Or do you think
honestly,
she just got like taken?
I think they're all dead. Like, I don't necessarily believe that they're alive. Is there a follow-up book to this?
No, it's you get to decide, essentially.
I believe, after being like, this is months later, like half a year later or something like that, I think I think Ruthann and Matt and Trinity are dead. I'd like to hope that they're not, but like, my brain says no. They've been trapped in the asylum for 6 months. They're not alive. Like, they're not saying if they are.
Did we go to the last question?
No, we did not. We did not. I was discussing like the humanity of it, though, like how they. I feel like we saw this huge character arc growth for Amy, and like, she went from just looking out for number one, trying to get that next job, you know, trying to get a transfer, to like, you know, dealing with, you know, just serious bouts of depression, not wanting to leave the house, to like, there's a new store opening in that same location, I'm gonna go back and save these people. Like she grew tremendously in that way.
Yeah. It's up to
Zazen,
me to rescue my friends.
Annie suggested this book to our book club last month. She was her pick.
My pick for a lighter read, so we don't spook Gendred out completely.
We put a whole bunch of books together on a list, Zazen, and then we do like a randomizer, and some book from that category gets picked. Generally, the rules are that person can't submit a book the next month, but you know, we can usually generate a good amount anyways, and then go from there. Yeah, so I think humanity is a theme. Like, it's not as obviously as prevalent as work sucks or work is a prison, but I
think it the theme is more prevalent towards the end of the book, which is fine. I do kind of like the open-endedness, where like, you think they're all dead. I think it would be interesting to find out, like, maybe this whole time they've been hooked up to their individual torture devices, you know?
Yeah, and maybe time passes differently in the prison or something. You know, maybe it hasn't been 6 months for them or something. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's
So,
good.
were you satisfied with the book's outcome? Do you have any questions or doubts left unanswered?
I have questions for sure. Like, is this? So I don't read a lot of horror, right? We've said that many times. I'm not a big horror reader. Is having like an open-endedness to the book often a thing in horror books where like the hero, like not necessarily hero, but the protagonist, like lives to fight another day? I thought horror always ended with just everybody dead. Like that's just my experience.
I think it depends on the author, you know, like Stephen King. Like, gosh, one of my favorite ones is, what is it, The Mist?
Oh God.
But what's wild to me is that, so he wrote the book, and then the movie, they made a movie out of it, and the movie ending is different than the book, and Stephen King was like, that movie ending is even better than what I wrote. And I was like, that's awesome, because the ending to that movie like blew my fucking mind. Like,
I haven't watched it in a while. I think I watched through part of it, and I might not have finished it.
It's basically like the big bad. I guess people should read it. I actually really like that ending until I was talking to somebody about it, and they were like, if you think about it, the monster like just came by. How likely is it that the military is like right on its heels, like hot on its heels? Not
like
really.
seconds away.
Yeah. So like, it doesn't. Just don't think about it that hard, but it still is a very emotional, compelling ending, and much better than Stephen King's piece of shit ending because he sucks at endings.
Dude,
Now-
I read The Stand, and that disappointed me so much. Like that ending. But yes, in saying that, yeah, he sucks at endings, yeah, 100% agree.
I want to comment on does horror usually end ambiguously, and it didn't. Horror really, of course, you have H.P. Lovecraft really like making it uber popular, but you also had Edgar Allan Poe doing really big horror stuff in different centuries. But
I feel like people don't take into account like older horror like that, like Edgar Allan Poe, and, you know. Well, I guess there's like Frankenstein by Shelley. But I don't, would that be considered horror? I guess. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, Dracula and Frankenstein are major horror, but the real like, is it over kind of ending, I feel like hit hard for me with, and I feel like it came prevalent in 80s slasher movies, like where it really started to become a thing with Friday the 13th, because
Yep.
you see everybody's dead, but then little dead Jason jumps out of the lake, and it's like the very end, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's back, you know. So it's the big thing of like, we beat the big bad, and then fade to black, and then it fades back in, and it's like, is he, you know? And it's like sequel bait basically. And this is absolutely that. It's like, this is a sound resolution, but is it?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I don't know. It doesn't do a lot for me.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the ending. I like the fact that it doesn't end on necessarily a down note. Like, it's more like, you know, the protagonists are like, they're fucking gearing up to go back and save the others. Like, I think that motivated me like more than, you know, I definitely, if it had just ended with like Amy sad and depressed, like I definitely would like, fuck this book.
Yeah, it
Oh, of
definitely
course.
leaves like a hopeful note because we do see her go into that depression, but then come out of it to be like, no, I need to go find my friends if they're alive.
Have you ever seen the rising story motions of like how to write a compelling story, like the momentum curves? Have you ever seen that?
No.
So the way that you start a story is at the bottom left, right? Like if it's a graph. And then what you want to do is you want to slowly build up speed and then hit a crescendo and then calm back down and then go back up and hit a crescendo and then come back down. And then in the third act, you hit the highest crescendo and that's your climax. But then it slows down and then you kind of go back down a little bit and then it flattens out and that's your ending. So like if you had a story that did that and then hit the crescendo and then went like down like this, that's the ending you're talking of. Like, fuck this story, I don't want this story, like this is stupid. So you want to like you want to climax and then just go down a little and then keep it like that. What the ending does is it kind of give like this ending, it gives you like a little like blip at the end of like
a
is
tiny
it
hook, a tiny hook?
And
yeah,
I just don't like that.
Why?
Because it's like you know how like songs resolve like dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. You know, if you don't get that it feels very like give me the resolve. And I'm okay with an ambiguous ending. I'm okay with not knowing, but just give me an ending. But is it? Tune in next time is like fuck off, man. Like and there isn't a next one either, so like what's the point of doing
Just
that?
tell me, are they alive or are they dead?
yeah.
But I'd already be thinking that if she just went home and was like, man, that was crazy, and had like a character arc of like, I'm gonna go help people now, or like I'm gonna be a different person. I feel like the easy way to do that is like, I'm gonna go back and save them, and then I'm never gonna tell you if she does or not. I would rather be like, there are, I just feel like, and this is just personally, I don't know. I just think that it would have been a more satisfying ending for her to have a final character growth without
Diving back in.
without diving back in, because you would still have that ambiguous ending of like, are they alive or aren't they? You know.
All right.
Oh,
We did skip another question.
which one?
Did Hendrix balance the action and emotional aspects of the story well?
Before we get to that, I just want to say one more thing, because I really didn't like the ending of Basil, and I know that you did, but so here's the thing, I did, but here's what I think he could have done better.
Okay.
So Basil has this great arc, where at the end of the book, like when the cops and the executives are outside the store and giving the you know, here's what you say to the press kind of thing. Great arc. In that moment when she says, "Are you kidding me? You're offering me a job to quiet me down," and Basil takes it. That was a huge miss for me, because it's only later on that it's brief, like when she's like, "Oh, you work at baby store now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't take it." It's like, okay, like I would have much rather his arc be like, do what she did. That was his moment to be like, no, this is crazy that you're making me do this. But he actually has a second thought about, maybe I do want this cushy job, and it undercuts his arc only for you to save it later and be like, oh, he didn't actually take it. And it's like, it kind of just undercuts his arc for me a little bit, where I think he could have been the star character. And I think overall, him and Amy share a pretty good, I mean, for what this book is, like, arc. Where they are at least different people at the end of the book, slightly. His could have been really good if he did what Amy did.
See, I think
You know what I mean?
the delta there is that he has, like, his whole reason for survival is he has to look out for his little sister. And so for him to like turn down potentially a big payday that could really like help his sister's home life, like that's probably not something he would have just immediately said fuck you about, right?
At
Like,
the
first-
beginning. At the
What?
beginning, yes. At
But
the
now
end, he's supposed to be changed. He's
he
supposed to be like,
survived.
I can do this differently now. I've learned. But he answers the way beginning of the book Basil would have.
Kool-Aid?
And
Oh, yeah.
and it,
Kool-Aid Basil?
Because
it
he
bummed
drank the
me out.
Kool-Aid. He drank the Kool-Aid.
yeah, but
right?
that's his arc. Is that he threw the Kool-Aid up. And they even give you that. They tell
Yeah.
you that later because he
Yeah.
doesn't actually take it. So like,
Yeah.
why'd you do that to him?
I hear you. I hear you. I can see it both ways, unfortunately, because I think I he's been drinking the Kool-Aid for too long. He's been, you know, he's been an Orsk fucking yes
I
man
could
forever.
Yeah. I could
And
see
so-
him succumbing to the pressure and immediately being like, yes, I will take this job.
The moment the fear is over and he's back in the parking lot and like he's got Orsk bigwigs sort of like pushing him, he's like he reverts to his original state. Like, and so it's that whole like,
Buddy.
he's not sure the right choice, like at that point. Like he's really this is why I think it'd be better as a TV show. I would love to have seen his face, like to actually like see him struggling with this decision more than just like, Amy, no. Like I don't think the book does a very good job of that. Hi Carp, how's it going?
Definitely. And I would say if you're gonna do it that way, if you're gonna give him the final test that he fails or passes, which is like totally good, totally fine, show me that.
Yes.
Like that, I'm invested in this character. Show me that. Don't just put him in at the end of the book and go like, "Oh, you didn't take the job." Like, it's the fucking, it's the live audience. You have to have that moment where people
Yep.
go, "Woo!"
Yep.
You know, and it's like, I want to see him struggle with that decision at least.
Agreed.
Otherwise,
Agreed.
just have him say no at the end for full character growth.
Agreed. I agree. I think your way's better. I agree. I think your way is better. I definitely am happy with the ending that he came around eventually. That like he
Right.
was there. He's like, "What's in your bag?" And she's like, "Get away from me, you fucking turncoat, whatever." And he's like, "It's probably the same thing as in my bag." And he like rattles off all this shit. I'm like, okay,
Wait, are
he's
you
on
going
board. He's on
ghost
board.
hunting?
Yeah, okay. But yeah, that's that whole like.
Only
final
that is
hook.
not the end of a fucking sitcom. Halloween
totally is.
episode.
It
What's
is.
in your bag? Probably the same thing that's in my bag.
Oh, it's totally sitcom. Totally.
Yeah, it's like cornball, but like that's what this book is.
It gets back. It's like
Corny.
loops back around to the beginning. Like, you know, they're totally
Full circle.
cornballs.
So yeah, I guess we did miss that question. You read it. Did he balance the action and the human emotional elements well?
I feel like he did. Like I feel like there was a good amount of action and there was like some very real emotional parts, both in the beginning and like Amy's initial like I've got to avoid Basil. I just need this transfer. Like I could feel her stress in like the very beginning, and then like the fucking door with the gum, and I was like, oh god, the fucking like, you know, the action. I could feel like shit was about to go down. Oh no, it's just these two idiots, right? Oh no, there's somebody in the showroom. Oh okay, it's just a homeless guy who's like looking for a
It's
place to
just
sleep.
Carl.
Like I feel like there was a real set of roller coaster like action there, and then when the action hit and the fucking gore came out, I was like, oh fuck. Like I feel like it was a good, like, it wasn't my favorite book ever, but I feel like in analyzing it, there were some good parts to it.
I think it followed that thing that I talked about earlier. Where,
Yeah, oh
like,
yeah.
the peaks are the horror elements, and then the little building back momentum parts were the human elements, and it kind of got more crazy and more crazy, and
Yep.
so I feel like maybe the characters weren't as deep as I would have liked. Maybe the villain wasn't as fleshed out as I would have liked, but it followed the skeleton of a story fairly well, and it gave us like little crumbs of backstory to people that made it feel like these 250 pages were more worth it than it could have been, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and then it's like, even now, like, we can draw lines and conclusions to deeper meanings, like the prison of work, you know, like things like that we already talked about. But I'm like, so there, if you want to, there are deeper things to look into for this very kitschy, I want to say lighthearted horror read.
for the most part, like, yeah. It goes from YA to adult, and then at the end it kind of dives its head into adult, but then kind of ends YA. So it's, yeah. Overall, I would give it a 3 out of 5.
I could agree with
I
that.
agree. I agree. So overall, a good little, like,
Cute.
little read
That's
for
my
this
review.
month, because we're taking it's a nice little break from all the other stuff we've been reading,
Horrorstor. Cute.
especially
Cute.
Name of the Wind, that was a wild ride and very long.
Cute.
Yes, it was.
So it
I'm
was
still
nice.
thinking about Kavoth, you know.
Still angry about
He
Kavoth.
won't shut up about him.
Kiara's
So
dad
if-
still hasn't finished.
Is he
Is he
just like
getting
putting it
frustrated?
off?
Yeah, he's just like, it's hard to pick it up because I know he's gonna annoy me.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to finish it. If
He
it's
has
shit,
to
if it's
finish it.
if it's a shit book, he can just put it down.
I
Forever.
finished it. He has to finish it. That's what I told him.
God.
Oh my god.
Well, I think that's a pretty good place to stop. And like, if anybody here is interested in a light-hearted comedy horror book, then Horrorstor is for you,
Cute.
and you should read it.
Cute.
If you're into heavier stuff, do that. You know.
Cute.
Yeah, I'll post a link to Horrorstor on Goodreads so chat can have it.
Pick the next book now.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I need to read.
What's our next month's theme is mystery, right? Mystery thriller?
Mystery thriller. And I had a question for you. Is it like
Yes.
mystery or thriller, or is it mystery and thriller? Like,
Yes.
Does the thriller have to be a mystery?
Thrilling mystery? Or a
I want you to look at the
mysterious-
books that I've put in the document and like tell me if they qualify or not, because I'm not sure.
I'll
Okay.
tell you right now.
Oh god. He wants to do this immediately.
Yeah. I added Rivers of London, Stormfront, and The Tainted Cup.
Never heard of any of them.
Stormfront is a well-known series. It's the first book in a series called The Dresden Files. It's like a supernatural, paranormal, sort of like private investigator guy. The Tainted Cup was one I just stumbled across a little while ago that sounded really interesting. Holmes and Watson style detective duo take the stage in this fantasy with a mystery twist from a multiple Hugo nominated author. I was like, okay, that sounds cool.
I think these are. Have we all read Gone Girl?
No, have you?
No.
Oh.
No.
I'm putting Gone Girl on here.
Gone Girl is mystery thriller, okay. There's also I think the girl with the dragon tattoo qualifies.
It does. It does. I almost put that on there, but I figured that most people have read it because it was so popular.
Definitely
I
have
have
not read it. I
not.
haven't even seen the movie, if I'm being honest.
Which one? There's
Yeah,
Well, I
which
mean,
one?
I haven't seen any of them.
Gone Girl's a movie too, so we could watch the movie after we read it.
Watch party.
And it's a David Fincher movie, and he's one of my favorites. Pick now, pick.
I don't even have the wheel. My hands are all
I'm so
gluey. I don't want to
excited.
use them.
He's like, give me stuff.
We need to end the meetings with the next book so that the audience can read along.
Okay. Hold on.
Thank you, Zazin. Yeah, we're wrapping up now. Appreciate you for being here. Thank you for sticking around after the raid. Again,
Was
hope to see
Zazen the
you
one
next
with
month.
the creepy monk?
No, that was Lion Strong.
Oh, okay. Oh my god.
All these folks came from a raid from Lex Lager.
We love rain.
I vote for Rivers of London because his last name has my first name in it. And I'm not biased.
By
let me go
Aronovich.
Aaron
Feels so
Ovich.
Aronovich. Probationary Constable Peter Grant dreams of being a detective in London's Metropolitan Police. Too bad his superior plans to assign him to the case progression unit, where the biggest threat he'll face is a paper cut. But Peter's prospects change in the aftermath of a puzzling murder when he gains exclusive information from an eyewitness who happens to be a ghost. Peter's ability to speak with
Not
the
a
lingering and
ghost.
dead brings him to the attention of Detective Chief Inspector Thomas Nightingale, who investigates crimes involving magic and other manifestations of the uncanny. Now, as a wave of brutal and bizarre murders engulfs the city, Peter's plunged into a world where gods and goddesses mingle with mortals, and a long-dead evil is making a comeback on a rising tide of magic.
That is a hell. Oh my god, guess who's the first review?
Thank you for the 2 long
on
months of
Goodreads?
subscribing, Raven with Baubles.
Grady Hendrix.
Patrick Rothfuss! Get your fucking
my
book done,
God.
Patrick
Hey there,
Rothfuss,
mister.
you piece of shit.
He haunts me. He haunts me wherever I go.
Thank you for the sub,
Okay.
Raven. Welcome in.
So we have
Appreciate you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Ladybird, come on, bro.
Okay, I'm a click to spin now. Are we ready?
Spin it! Spin
Oh, wow.
it!
Okay.
I clicked it.
That was fast. I did not expect you to cave.
Oh,
I'm very
boy.
persuasive.
Oh
You are.
boy. It
What is it?
says Jurassic Park.
Oh my god, we're reading Jurassic Park next month, everybody.
It says
Hell yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Oh my god.
I'm so excited.
Yay. All right.
Okay.
So join us next month. We'll post on the socials the date because we're not going to decide on that now. But
Nope.
we have decided on the book. And then, yeah, join us next month where we dissect Jurassic Park.
Wow.
I've never read it. It's a first for everyone.
Yeah, those are my favorite. I like
Me
when
too.
we have those suggestions. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been real fun tonight, you guys, discussing this horror store.
Thank you. Thank you all.
This is awesome. Thanks, everybody. Catch us next month when we discuss Jurassic Park. Please feel free to read along with us and come with your questions. It would be awesome. We love you all. Thank you, Aaron, for your wonderful, amazing commentary. Annie, your hands are amazing as always, entertaining us with your non-stop self-gluing effects. We appreciate you so much. And we'll catch y'all next time. All right. Love you all. Bye.
Who knew repurposing an old prison yard for a furniture store could go so wrong? I'm just glad our main, Amy, found some purpose at the end. The supernatural has always been interesting to me. Definitely give this one a go if you're looking for a horror comedy. We hope to have you back next time as we go digging for dinosaurs with Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton.